News sources now telling CNN that Russian naval craft have arrived at the site of the U.S. drone downing in the Black Sea. CNN's Oren Lieberman is working as sources for us over at the Pentagon. Oren, U.S. officials believe the wreckage would be extremely difficult to retrieve, but the Russians appear to be trying. What are you hearing from your sources?
Two U.S. officials tell us that the Russian Navy, essentially Russian assets in the Black Sea, were able to reach the crash site of the MQ-9 drone. That crash site about 70 miles or so, approximately 70 miles southwest of the Crimean Peninsula. The Russian Navy has ships based in Crimea, so it wouldn't have been that difficult for them to get their ships to the crash site. Of course, the crucial question, and this is what's unclear, is how much, if anything, were the Russians able to recover from the MQ-9 drone? Earlier today at a press conference with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Mark Milley, it was Milley who said there probably isn't all that much wreckage there to recover. It was in about 4,000 to 5,000 feet deep of water there, but the Russians, according to the U.S. officials, were able to get to that site. Earlier today, a senior Russian official promised that the Russians would try to recover what they could from that drone and learn what's possible. Milley had said the U.S. had taken steps to mitigate the collection of any sensitive data. We reported earlier today that before that drone, the U.S. drone that is crashed into the Black Sea, its operators were able to wipe the sensitive data, the sensitive software and information used in intelligence collection from the drone, meaning that though there may be some wreckage there, the U.S. believes there isn't sensitive top secret data that's just sitting there on top of the Black Sea. Meanwhile, the Pentagon promising it will keep operating over international waters and giving a sense of what the Russians and how they view the Russian actions here.
I'll just reiterate that the United States will fly and operate wherever international law allows. Now, we take any potential for escalation very seriously, and that's why I believe it's important to keep the lines of communication open.
So, was it intentional or not? Don't know yet. We know that the intercept was intentional. We know that the aggressive behavior was intentional. We also know it was very unprofessional and very unsafe. The actual contact of the fixed-wing Russian fighter with our UAV, the physical contact of those two, not sure yet. That remains to be seen. But I can't. I can tell you with certainty, though, that we have absolute evidence of the contact and the intercepts, et cetera, and it's very aggressive. You've heard about the dumping of the fuel and everything else. We have video evidence of all that. We know where it landed in the Black Sea. It's probably about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 feet of water, something like that. So any recovery operation is very difficult at that depth. By anyone. It probably broke up. There's probably not a lot to recover, frankly. As far as the loss of anything of sensitive intelligence, et cetera, as normal, we would take, and we did, take mitigating measures. So we are quite confident that whatever was of value is no longer of value.
In the day and a half or so since this happened, there have been a number of communications, both in the diplomatic channel and now in the military channel here. And what it seems there's agreement upon is that there is no desire from the U.S. or from Russia for escalation around this specific incident. However, the cause of the incident, that's where we have entire disagreements. The U.S. making their case clear there from both Milley and Austin that it was the Russian fighter jets who were acting in a reckless fashion there. Meanwhile, in a call between Austin and his counterpart, Sergei Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, it was Shoigu who essentially tried to lecture Austin about the U.S. actions here, saying the U.S. flew the drone in a provocative fashion, that flying around Crimea is itself provocative, and that Russia had essentially declared that there was some sort of airspace around its, quote, special military operation that the U.S. should have avoided. So, Wolf, there is still certainly disagreement on the cause of this, but at least it seems there is no desire here to escalate from this point.
We shall see. Oren Lieberman at the Pentagon, thank you very much. Joining us now, a top White House national security official, John Kirby. John, thanks very much for joining us. I want to begin with our new reporting. You just heard it, that the Russians have now reached the site of the drone crash. Is there any cause for concern if Russia eventually recovers this debris from the drone?
Well, I certainly can't confirm the reports that they're on the site. I mean, I'm aware of their comments about trying to get there and trying to recover, but the short answer to your question is no. As General Milley made clear, we made it impossible for them to be able to glean anything of intelligence value off the remnants of that drone, whatever remnants there might be on the surface of the water.
Because as you just point out, other U.S. officials have said they managed to actually erase sensitive software on the drone remotely before it actually crashed into the Black Sea. Does this debris have any value for Russia, though, even if just for propaganda?
It's really going to be difficult to say, Wolf. I would tend towards no. I mean, whatever's left of that that's floating will probably be flight control surfaces, that kind of thing. Probably nothing of real intrinsic value to them in terms of re-engineering or anything like that. We're not overly concerned about whatever they might get their hands on. That said, and Secretary Austin said this today, it's our property, and they have no business recovering anything.
As you know, the U.S. does not currently have any ships in the Black Sea. Is the Biden administration considering taking any steps to keep this downed drone out of Russia's hands?
I think the Pentagon's still taking a look at whatever recovery options might be available to them. I think you can imagine that they're fairly limited, given that we don't have a naval presence there in the Black Sea. And we can certainly fly aircraft over the site, but you can't recover from aircraft. So I think the options are fairly limited, but I don't want to get ahead of the Defense Department and what they might be thinking.
Because other officials have suggested that maybe other countries who work with the U.S. might have some ships around that area. Is that right?
There are other navies that we partner with and have terrific relationships with in the Black Sea. But again, I would refer to the Defense Department. I don't know of plans to use any allied naval assets to attempt a recovery. Again, I want to stress here, Wolf, that whatever's left of that MQ-9 on the surface is not going to be much. It's not going to be all that valuable. And again, it's our property, and we certainly don't want the Russians getting it. But we're not overly concerned about anything they might glean off of it.
Russia is publicly accusing the United States of what it calls provocative violations of its declared flight restriction zone in that Black Sea area. Should we expect to see Russia continue to escalate as it tries to establish new rules in the skies?
We don't want to see any escalation here, Wolf, and there's no need for that. This MQ-9 was flying in international airspace, and as you heard Secretary Austin say today, we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to fly and operate where international law permits us to. That's what we did in this case. That's what we'll continue to do. We have real national security interests in and around the Black Sea, not to mention the support that we're providing to Ukraine. All that effort is going to continue.
Secretary Austin and General Milley both spoke with their Russian counterparts today. That was significant. Has the Biden administration received any assurances at all from Russia that it will stop engaging in these kinds of aggressive acts against the United States, like the downing of this drone, for example?
We made it very clear. And I know the Defense Department did in their calls. State Department did when they called in the ambassador to Russia here to the State Department just down the road. We made it very clear that this is unacceptable and that we don't want to see any repeat occurrences of this. We also made it clear, Wolf, that, as Secretary Austin said, we're going to continue to fly and operate where international law permits us to do. So, I mean, we have laid out bare our concerns, and we certainly have laid out bare our intentions to continue to do what we need to do for our own national security interest in the Black Sea.
John Kirby at the White House for joining us. Thank you very, very much.